Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be going through Byron's abilities through the closed beta test. Byron is an Archmage archetype who has a support role with his abilities and is very strong at doing a lot of AoE damage. He may not excel at single target damage as much, but when there's a lot of things to kill, he is very proficient at it. A lot of splash damage, a lot of AoE damage, has some support and like CC kind of crowd control effects as well. So let's go ahead and hop into it. But before we do, let me just remind you that this is from the closed beta test. These abilities are subject to change, both with numbers and what they do. Especially him being a support role, they are looking closely at that and making adjustments accordingly. More than likely just kind of making some of like the healing aspects, for example, be obtainable sooner. But let's go ahead and get into it now. Byron's first ability is called Time Warp. He uses the power to jump in time for about 1.2 seconds. He does get a 20% damage reduction and a 275 movement speed bonus. He can travel quite a distance with this ability. It's very good for going from one side of the screen to the other side, avoiding a lot of danger along the way because he is rather squishy because he's a cloth wearer. And then his first orb makes it to where it has 2 charges instead of just the 1, but the cooldown does become higher. And then his next orb basically gives him a shield equal to 10% of his maximum health. And the fourth orb gives him a attack increase if he does it with a perfect timing as well. So a good way to increase your DPS. It also gives you another movement boost. And then the final orb, if it also does a perfect timing, he gives a shield up to 25% of his max health and receives an extra 25 movement speed as well. And then we've got his basic attack, Elemental Missile. Again, this is like all other basic attacks. It deals damage to a single target, and then the orbs increase the cast speed of that by 10% and then by 25%. So it just makes him attack a little bit quicker. It doesn't reduce the cooldown on the skill, just makes it to where you can get that done quicker, snipe enemies down. And then when you start getting into some of his more unique things here, we've got the Wind Blast / Fireball ability. So normally this would be a wind blast that deals damage and pushes enemy back in a frontal cone in front of him. But if you hold down the ability, it changes to do a small fireball and hurls it in the target direction as well, and it explodes on contact, dealing damage in an area there. So this is kind of a recurring theme in his abilities, where it'll do one thing if you just press the button and do a different thing if you hold down the button. The first orb makes it to where on the hold aspect of that, doing the fireball, it creates a stronger fireball, and it deals damage every second over 5 seconds as well. So it also does like an ignite on them, or burn damage. He can also increase the burn damage if he holds it even further, reaching like a cap of like if he holds it for 2 seconds, it'll do even more burn damage there. And then the third orb, reducing the required hold time for that benefit there, brings it from 2 seconds down to 1.2 seconds. His next ability is Meteor. This conjures a meteor, dealing damage and stunning enemies for 0.8 seconds. You can hold this to aim at a certain location. You can also target an enemy and it will just go to where that enemy currently is. But if the enemy's moving, sometimes it can make it miss, so you want to be careful with that. The first orb is basically going to make it to where he can do a hurricane instead of a meteor, and it kind of sits there in an area for 4 seconds, and it continuously pushes enemies back from the center of that hurricane. So it's good for if you want to kind of maybe put this on one of your teammates, and it kind of continuously pushes them back away from that member of the team there. And then the third option changes this to a blizzard. So with this blizzard as well, it does a blizzard in an area similar to the hurricane there, but it'd just be cold blizzard damage. And if the entire time the blizzard is there, the enemies are being hit by that blizzard for the entire 3 seconds, they will actually freeze and be held in place as well. So this does add another form of crowd control options to his toolkit here. And then his next ability is Time Rewind. So this creates a time marker at the present time, and then after 3.6 seconds, he travels back to that exact time, returning both to his previous position and restoring 80% of his health as it was at the time marker. And he'll also get a benefit of 100% damage reduction for 1 second. In the end, a time blast that deals damage in a small area takes place wherever he was. So this can kind of do a little bit of AoE damage. It does say a small area. It's not a very big blast, but it is a little bit of damage so that he can kind of do a little bit of damage, gain a little bit of health back, go back to where he was. So it's a neat way, like maybe if you're doing like a pushback or something, you can hit Time Rewind, you can go back up, do your Wind Blast, push things out of the way, and then warp back to where you were previously. So very utility based here, a good way to kind of jump in, do something, jump right back out. His first orb makes it to where he can put this on a selected ally instead, and does the same thing. Puts the time marker on them. 3.6 seconds later, they return to their previous position, gain 80% of their health back, and they also do the small burst of AoE in that area as well. And then the final orb there makes it to where you can put this on an enemy. They, of course, don't get the health benefits, but if there's something that's trying to run away or something, I haven't seen any mobs try to run away before, but if there is something, maybe it's a ranged enemy that keeps on sneaking back, the more and more you try to push towards it, you can put this on that enemy and it'll warp back to where it previously was, and it'll also do that small AoE damage once it warps back as well. So it's a good way to kind of bring an enemy back if there's something that's constantly trying to evade, like the melee, for example. And then last but not least, we have his ultimate ability, his support, which is Time Rejuvenation. Byron utilizes his proficiency in chronomancy to select an ally and manipulate time to roll back, restoring its wounds. So this is something that just happens on a single target. This is not an AoE heal like some of the other support classes have. However, it does have potential to be a bigger heal, because most of the other classes, their healers, they require you to be near the support class, or they have to stay in a certain area, or maybe it only happens for a brief time. It might not be as potent, but this can do a stronger heal on one target. So if you do have a case like in the Caladrax fight, for example, that was in the beta, where ideally you have a defense class kind of keeping the attention of Caladrax, that you could put this heal on that tank class so he can remain there in the thick of the combat there, drawing the attention away from the rest of the group while still healing a good amount, to where he can, maintain that hold longer. So there is a bit more utility with this in that it's a single target heal that has greater potential to restore more health, because it would be rolling back time to, kind of like his Time Rewind there, provide health based on when it was originally cast. So there is a lot more potential. Probably has to be timed a lot better as well, because it's rewinding time and would bring them back to whatever their health was when you cast it. So you want to make sure you're casting it with high health and know that their health is going to dip. So it does have a lot more potential to heal there, but also has a lot more potential to fail as well, if they either don't take damage or if somebody else pulls threat, that kind of thing. So it's a very niche kind of situation where you'd want this in, but in the situations it would be good. I could definitely see this being a preferred heal for like a big amount of damage that goes out on a tank that might not be blockable, for example. So very neat single target heal for this guy. And that pretty much wraps up Byron's abilities here. So I didn't play Byron too much. I did dabble with him a little bit. I think the most unique things about him are his movement skill, his first ability here. He has very good potential to really escape the area that he's in there. So if he gets into danger, it's very easy for him to get out of danger, because he's got that like 275 movement speed bonus when he does that. He goes invisible while he does that as well, so he can't be targeted during that time, and he can basically clear the screen out of the way. He can get completely out of combat, maybe use an artifact like the water pouch to heal up, and then get right back in. So he's got a unique ability with that. And then with his dual capable and sometimes triple capable spells as well, his third and fourth abilities here, where if you hold it down, it turns from that wind blast to the fireball. And then the third one, where you can either do the meteor, you can do the hurricane, or you can do the blizzard. There are a lot of... He's got potential to do a lot of different things, and a lot of crowd control capabilities as well, with like the pushbacks, the freezes with the blizzards, the ignite damage, doing some like damage over time as well. So very interesting class design with them, and that single target healer, I think it does have a lot of potential when used correctly. So it's something that probably has a higher ceiling for being able to really perform well with them. But for people who do well with it, I could definitely see this being one of the better, more in-demand healers for certain fights. So that's going to be it for this video here. Again, keep in mind that this is from the closed beta test, so these are subject to change based on player feedback, and they are specifically looking at support roles and defensive roles to modify when they get these capabilities and things like that. So again, I think this is going to be something where it's more that instead of getting these at level 12, you might get them at level 8 or something like that. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. But until then, I'll catch you in the next one here.